my name is Emily and welcome to Secret Patterns. In today's video, I'm super excited to be sharing how to crochet this beautiful Christmas stocking. So this stocking uses the granny cluster stitch and it has this adorable little baubles and bow. Now the cuff is faux fur, and if you don't enjoy working with faux fur yarn, which I know a lot of crocheters don't enjoy working with, you can always use just regular yarn, but I personally like to use faux fur yarn, especially because with this pattern you work into the spaces and not into the stitches, so it makes it easier to work with faux fur yarn. Then I also wanted to mention that this is a free pattern on my blog as well, so if you want the written instructions while you're watching this tutorial, you can always open up a new browser and get the free pattern instructions on my blog, and I'll put a link in the description box down below for that. Then I also want to mention that if you have some pets that you want to make your stocking for, I have the free pattern and tutorial for this adorable little dog bone stocking. I also have the free pattern and tutorial for this adorable little cat stocking. If you have cats in your family, you can make a little fish stocking for your cats. And then I also want to mention that I have the free mini stocking pattern and tutorial here on my YouTube channel, and then on my blog is the pattern. So if you want any of these, you can check out my YouTube channel, and I'll put links in the description box down below to everything. So my YouTube channel and my blog has all of these patterns free. And then this is the stocking that we'll be making today. So let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. One thing I want to mention before we jump in is that if at any point in the video I'm either talking too fast or too slow, you can always adjust the playback speed of the video by clicking the little settings gear icon in the bottom right corner of the video, then click playback speed, and then you can adjust the video so I'm either talking faster or slower depending on whether you're more of an advanced or beginner crocheter. So let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial. So the supplies that you'll need today is you'll need a 5mm crochet hook, and I personally love Clover Moore crochet hooks, so I recommend them. You'll need a darning needle. You'll need some scissors to cut your yarn. Then you'll need two different types of yarn. I personally will be using Line Brand Go for Faux, which is a number 6 super bulky weight yarn. And I will be using just a little bit of this. You do not need the whole ball. I would say that for one stocking, I probably use 1/3 to half of the ball of, like a full ball of this yarn. And this yarn is in the color Chinchilla, and it is 65 yards. Make sure to note that this is not their Go for Faux Thick and Quick, which is a number 7 weight yarn. You want their number 6 weight yarn. And then I'll also be using some red yarn. This is Red Heart Super Saver Jumbo in the color, I believe it is burgundy, but I might be wrong. But you'll just be needing a red. And so let's go ahead and get started with the stocking. Alright, so to begin, what we're going to do is we're going to have the yarn at the base of your hand. And you're going to begin by making a magic circle. So put the yarn at the base of your hand, wrap around going to the front, and then wrap around going to the back, so you make like an X shape. Then you're going to flip to the top. You're going to grab your 5mm hook, go under that first loop, and then you're going to grab that second loop. Go ahead and pull that through. Grab your thumb and your finger and pinch that. And now we're going to begin. And I personally like to chain 2, so 1 and 2. And then you're going to double crochet 15 into this magic ring. So you're just going to make a double crochet, you yarn over, insert into the magic ring, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So you're just going to repeat that a total of 15 times. So make another double crochet, you're going to go through both loops, and you're going to want to go over, through, around both this loop for our magic circle and around this tail. So you can see I just hold them together, and I'm working my total of 15 double crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and work 15 double crochets into this magic circle, and I will meet you back once I finish the 15 double crochets. All right, so you can see that I did my 15 double crochets. Now we're just going to pull on this tail and close the magic circle. And I like to pull pretty tight to get it nice and shut like that. This is how it should be looking. Now you're going to, so you should have 15 double crochets, and once we begin round 2, this will count as 5 clusters. So I'll explain more once we get to round 2, but first what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch to join, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first double crochet. So insert, you're going to pull through and pull through. So now we've finished round number 1, and for round number 2 you're going to chain 2. And one thing to note for this pattern is that all turning chains do not count as a stitch. So this chain 2 does not count as a stitch. We're going to begin by double crocheting. I'm going to call it a double crochet cluster, which just is 3 double crochets. And we're going to do that between the 3rd and 4th stitch of the round. So you can see here's the first double crochet, the 2nd, and then the 3rd. So we're going to separate between the 3rd and 4th stitch, so kind of make that hole. You can see right there. And this round will be one of the harder rounds, and as you keep going, it'll get easier and easier. So don't worry if this feels a little hard to begin with. So we have our chain 2. You're going to skip the 1, 2, 3 stitches, and you're going to go into the space between the 3rd and 4th double crochet. So I'm going to make a double crochet cluster, which is just 3 double crochets into this space. Now you do not want to go into the top of that stitch. Instead you're going into the whole space. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that big space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So that was 1 double crochet. Now we're going to do 2 more double crochets into that same space. So here's our 2nd double crochet, and then here is our 3rd double crochet into that same space. And there we go. So we have our 3 double crochets into that one space. Now we are going to repeat that for each stitch around. So you're going to skip the next 3 stitches. So you can see 1, 2, 3 double crochets. And between the 3rd and 4th double crochet, we're going to separate right there, and we're going to work 3 double crochets into there. Right where my fingers pop in through. So 1, 2, 3, skip 3 stitches into the between the 3rd and 4th stitch. You're going to do 3 double crochets. And now we're just going to repeat this for the round. So you should end up with 5 what we're calling double crochet clusters, which just are groups of 3 double crochets. So we're going to now skip 3 stitches in between the 3rd and 4th stitch. So 1, 2, and 3, and then between the 3rd and 4th stitch you're going to double crochet 3. So you're just going to continue doing this for each space around. So skip 3 into between the 3rd and 4th, double crochet 3, and I'm going to go ahead and complete this, and I'll be right back and we will finish up round number 2. Alright, so you can see that I have my 5 clusters, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the last place that you were to work should have been you skip the 3 double crochets and you work right there, and that, if you'll notice, is right next to where we worked, is right next to where we did that chain, and then we did those 3 double crochets. So now what we're going to do, the most important part is that you just have 5 clusters. So for round 3, what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet increase cluster in each space around. Now when we did the that chain, what we're going to do is we're going to go back and forth. So the chain 2 will be at the beginning of the first cluster on alternate rounds. So we didn't have the chain 2 at the beginning of the first cluster on round 2, so we'll have the chain 2 at the beginning of the first cluster on round 3, and that's just to help keep the line straight so that when we do the heel it works way better. So what we're going to do is right between the chain and the first double crochet we are going to double crochet 6, and that is what an increase cluster is. basically just 6 double crochet into the one space. So we're going to go ahead and do 6 double crochets into that first space, and you don't want to go into the top of the stitch, you want to go into that base space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now that we've completed that, you should have 6 double crochets into there. We're going to go to the next space, which is right here. And at this point, you should be able to tell better where the spaces are. So you can see there's the 1, 2, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then here's the next space. And you can kind of see where the spaces are. So we're going to do 6 double crochets into this next space. And you're just going to repeat that for each space around. So just 6 double crochets, or also called a double crochet increase cluster, in each of these spaces around. So you should end up with 10 clusters, or if you go 10 times 3, because each cluster is 3 stitches, you should have 30 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and complete round number 3, and I'll meet you right back. Alright, so I just finished round number 3, and what you can see is that we have, first of all, we did the increases, so each of these increase clusters will be 2 clusters, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So now we have our 10 clusters. Remember how we worked into that space between the chain and the double crochets? So now this time when we come back around, we have all the 10 clusters that we need. So we aren't going to work into these. So now what we're going to do, you should have your 10 clusters, and I hope that makes sense. Basically, we work between the chain and the double crochet, the first double crochet, on one round, and then on the next round we don't work between that, we skip to the first technical space. So that's just remember to keep the line straight. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to join to the very first double crochet. And now for round number 4, we're going to chain 2. And for this round, we are going to be working somewhat between the clusters. So what we're going to do first is, you can see that the space between the chain and the double crochet won't really be able to be worked in right here. So, and we're alternating rounds, so we're not going to work into there. Instead, we're going to skip the first 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And between the 3rd and 4th double crochet, we're going to separate that, and we're going to work 3 double crochets into there. So basically, the increases, even though we don't leave like a chain or anything, we're just working between the 6 double crochets. So we can see 3 double crochets, then we just did our work into that, and then there's 3 more double crochets. And now you're just going to make a cluster into the next space. So there's skip 3 double crochets, and between the 3rd and 4th double crochet you're going to make another cluster, which is just 3 double crochets. And we're just going to repeat this in each stitch around. So you're going to skip 3 double crochets, and between the 3rd and 4th double crochet you're going to make a cluster. And hopefully you're getting the idea for this round. So we work between the 6 stitches, then we work into the space, and we work between the 6 stitches. Now we'll work into the space next. And you should end up with 10 clusters. And I'm going to go ahead and finish up round number 4, and then I will meet you back. So just remember to work between the 3rd and 4th double crochet for each cluster. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up round 4, and I'll meet you back. Alright, so now that I'm just about done with round number 4, but remember we didn't work between the chain and the double crochet to begin round 4, so we're going to be working between the last double crochet and the chain when we come around. Hopefully this makes sense. It's very simple, it's just sometimes hard to explain things like that. So we should have 10 clusters now, and you can see this is how it is looking, and this is going to be the toe of our stocking. It's super duper cute. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet. We're going to chain 2, and for round number 5 we are going to double crochet cluster into the first space, and then we're going to double crochet increase cluster into the next space, and we're going to repeat that in each stitch around. So you can see that, remember last time we did not work between the chain and the double crochet, so this time we're going to work between the chain and the double crochet. You can see that there's a nice space to do so. So we're going to do the double crochet cluster into this first space. So 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, and into the next space we're going to do a double crochet increase, which if you remember is just 6 double crochets into one space. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we did the double crochet cluster into the first space, double crochet increase cluster into the next space, and now we're just going to repeat that. So into the next space we're going to do a double crochet cluster, which is just 3 double crochets. And if you ever get confused about whether this is a space or not, all you can remember, you can just simply count. So 1, 2, 3, and between the 3rd and 4th stitch is where you're always going to be working. So we did this. Now we're going to do our increase between the 3rd and 4th stitch. And so yeah, you're just going to repeat this all the way around, and you should end up with 15 clusters at the end of round number 5. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this, and I'll meet you right back. Alright, so I just finished round number 5, and you should have ended with a double crochet increase cluster. So now you should have 15 clusters if you're counting the 2 clusters you created when you did the increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So now we're going to go ahead and put the yarn back on our hook. We're going to slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet to join. And now you can see it's turning out really, really pretty. So now what we're going to do for rounds 6 through 8 is we're going to chain 2, and we're going to double crochet cluster in each space around. So remember, we alternate rounds, so you can see that there's really no space between the chain and the first double crochet to work. And remember, this is round number 6, so the even rounds we go over to the space. So we're going to go over to the first space over here, and we're going to make 3 double crochets. And then we're just going to repeat that. So 3 double crochets into that first space. Now we're going to, remember we have our increase, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3. Between the 3rd and 4th double crochet, we are going to make another cluster. 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. Now we're going to find the next space, so between the 1, 2, 3, and between the 3rd and 4th double crochet, we're going to make another cluster. And you can kind of get the idea, I think. So just double crochet cluster in each, between the 3rd and 4th stitch of each, between the 3rd and 4th stitch around. So right here you can see this is how it's looking. And now we've come to another increase, so we're going to count 1, 2, 3 in between the 3rd and 4th stitch, separate that, and work a double crochet cluster. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this in each stitch around for both this round, the next round, and the following round. So this is round 6. You're going to repeat this for round 7 and 8 as well. Basically just double crocheting into, double crochet clustering in each of these spaces. Or if you remember it's just between the third and fourth stitch that you just do the double crochet clusters. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this round and the next 2 rounds. So you should basically for rounds 6 through 8 double crochet cluster in each space around, and then you'll slip stitch to join. So I'm going to go ahead and complete that, and I'll meet you back once I finish round number 8. Okay, so you can see that I just started round number 7 and I worked between the chain and the double crochet. I just wanted to remind you that. So for the even rounds, you do not work between the first chain and the double crochet, and for the odd rounds you do work between the chain and the first double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and finish round 7 and 8, and I'll meet you right back. Alright, so you can see that I just finished round number 8, and this is how it should be looking when you lay it down on your desk. So you can see it's looking really, really nice. Now what we're going to do for round number 9 is you're going to, of course we have to slip stitch to join. There we go. So that finished round number 8, and of course you should have 15 clusters around. Now for round number 9, you're going to chain 2. You're going to double crochet cluster into the first 3 spaces. Now remember that this is an odd round, so number 9 is odd, an odd number. So we're going to do our cluster into between the chain and the double crochet. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that was cluster number 1, and now you're going to double crochet cluster into the next 2 spaces. So total of 3 double crochet clusters. This one and then 2 more. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and then do that one more time. 1, 2, 3 double crochets. So now you can see that we have 3 clusters, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do a double crochet cluster decrease. Now you may be wondering, what is that? And all that simply is we're going to double crochet into the first space. So right here, we're going to make 2 double crochets into the first space. So right here, 2 double crochets into the first space. And then we're going to make 1 double crochet into the next space. And what that does is next time that when we do our next round, we're going to count that as 1 cluster. So those 3 double crochets will be 1 cluster. Hopefully that makes sense. So basically we did over 2 spaces, we did 1 cluster. So now we have those 3 clusters, we have our decrease. Now you're going to go ahead and double crochet in cluster into the next 5 spaces. So we're not going to go into here because we did our 1 double crochet and 2. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3. Between the 3rd and 4th double crochet, you're going to make a double crochet cluster. 1, 2, 3 double crochets into that cluster, and you can see that where we did our decrease, it kind of pulls it in nicely, and that's just the goal, because otherwise they would keep going out and getting wider and wider, and we don't want that. So that's why we do the little decreases, to keep it going nice and straight back. So we did 1 cluster. Now we're going to do 4 more for a total of 5 clusters. 1, 2, this is the 3rd cluster. Okay, so you can see that we did the decrease. We did now 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 clusters. And now we're going to do another decrease. So all you're going to do is you're going to double crochet 2 into the first space, and then double crochet 1 into the next space. So I'm going to do my 2 double crochets into that first space, and double crochet 1 into that next space. And there we go. And that will be counted as 1 cluster when we go to the next round. So those 3 double crochets equal 1 cluster even though we worked into 2 spaces. So now we're going to double crochet cluster into the last 3 spaces. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Remember, we did our 1 double crochet into there, so we're not going to go into there. We're going to go into the next space, make a double crochet cluster, and then you're going to make a double crochet cluster into this next space and this next space as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do those off camera, and I'll meet you right back, and we will begin round number 10. Okay, so I did my last 3 clusters, and now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch to join. And so now officially we should have 13 clusters. And if you remember, it was 15 clusters and now it's 13 because we did those 2 decreases. So it should be looking like this when you lay it down. And we are now going to, for rounds 10 through 17, we are going to chain 2, double crochet cluster in each space around, and then we're going to slip stitch to join, and you'll have 13 clusters for each of those rounds. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. The next 8 rounds, you're just going to chain 2, and remember to do the alternating rounds. So because this is an even round, we're going to go to the space and not between the chain and double crochet. We're going to make our typical clusters, and just remember that whenever you reach, for this round, when you reach the decreases, all you're going to do, I'm almost to it, here we go. All you're going to do is you're just going to work like you kind of would normally, but you're just going to count these 3 as 1 cluster, so you're going to work right here, and then work right here, and skip those 3 stitches like you normally would. So I'm going to go ahead and complete round 10 through 17, and so the next 8 rounds, and I will meet you back. Remember, you should have 13 clusters at the end of each of your rounds. So chain 2, cluster in each stitch around, and then slip stitch to join, and repeat that for 8 rounds, and I'll meet you right back once I complete round number 17. Alright, so I officially finished rounds 10 through 17, so I have 17 rounds completed, and you can see this is how it should be looking. Now, for round number 18, we are going to begin the heel. So for the next several rounds, so basically at this point, we are going to begin the heel part of the stocking. So we are going to work several rounds of decreases and then a couple of rounds of increases to kind of make a corner, and then we'll sew them together to make it like a corner. So you can see on this stocking right here is where its kind of heel is. And so we're going to be working that. So one thing I wanted to note before we begin the heel is that you will be working into both the spaces and stitches for the heel, which so far we've just been working into the spaces, but for the heel we'll be working through both the spaces and stitches. So what we're going to do is begin round number 18. So you're going to chain 2, and we are going to break the traditional standard, which is to always for the even rounds work into the first space and not between the chain and the double crochet. But this time, because we're starting the heel and it just looks better if you do it this way, we are going to work between the chain and the double crochet. So this time we're breaking the rule, and we're going to be working between the chain and the double crochet. So we're going to make a double crochet cluster between the chain and double crochet, and it's not going to be a lot of space to work into. Just do your best and it should be fine. And then you're going to, so we did that first cluster, and now we're going to double crochet cluster into the next 6 spaces. So a total of 7 double crochet clusters. So I'm going to the next space, making a cluster, and you're just going to repeat this. So make a cluster in each of the 7 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I will work those 7 clusters, and I'll meet you right back, and we will continue on to row 19 of the heel. Alright, so I just finished my 7 double crochets. As you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now what we're going to begin doing is we're going to begin working up just this part, and then we'll crochet the 2 sides together. So let me I'll show you as we continue to work on it. So we did our 7 crochet clusters. Now we're going to chain 2, and you're going to turn your work. And so now we're just going to be working into the top of these 7 clusters. So you're welcome to, if you want to lay your stocking like this so that you're just working to the top, you're welcome to do that. So what we're going to do, we did our chain 2 and our turn. And for row 19, what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet into the first stitch. So this time we're working into stitch. The very first time we've worked into stitch this whole time. So we're going to double crochet into that first stitch. Then we are going to double crochet cluster into the next 6 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So we're going to double crochet cluster right here into the next space. And you're going to repeat that for a total of 6 double crochet clusters. So into the next 6 spaces, you're just going to do a double crochet cluster like usual. I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera, and then I'll meet you right back once I finish my 6 clusters. Alright, so I just did my 6 clusters, so you can see that 1 double crochet, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 clusters. Now we are going to double crochet into the last stitch. So you can see there's the 1, 2, and 3 stitches. We're going to make a double crochet into that 3rd stitch. And now you should have basically 6 clusters and then 2 double crochets. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and chain 2 and turn again. This time we are going to, again, double crochet into the first stitch right there. And now we are going to double crochet cluster into the next 5 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we're going to do is we are going to skip between this double crochet and this cluster right here. We're not going to go into that space. Instead, we're going to go over here into this space. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 that we work into. So 5 double crochet clusters. And the reason that we're not going into here, because that would be almost like an increase and it would become wider, and we're trying to make it narrower. So we did our double crochet. We're not going to go between there into that kind of space between the double crochet and the cluster. Instead, we're going to go to between the cluster and the cluster, the space there. We're going to make a double crochet cluster into there, and we're going to make a double crochet cluster into the next 4 stitches total. So total of 5 double crochet clusters, and I'm going to go ahead and do these clusters, and I'll meet you right back. Alright, so I just finished the 5 double crochet clusters, and now we're going to double crochet into the last stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 stitches left, and you're just going to double crochet into that last stitch. And now, so this is the end of round 20. You should have 5 clusters, and then of course the 2 double crochets on either side. Now for row 21, we are going to chain 2, turn our work, and we are going to do a double crochet into that first stitch right there. And then we are going to not go into this space. We're going to go into the space with the clusters on both sides. So, or if you just want to count 1, 2, 3, between the 3rd and 4th double crochet, we're going to make a cluster. And you're going to do a total for this row, you're going to do a total of 4 clusters. So 1, and then now 3 more, 2, and then this is the 3rd. And this is the 4th cluster. 2, 3 double crochets. There we go. So you can see we have the 4 clusters, the double crochet, and now you can see we have, again, 4 stitches left. You're going to double crochet into that last stitch right here. And now we have completed row 21. You should have 4 clusters and then those double crochets on both sides. And this was the last row of our decreases. Now we're going to begin our increases. And I will explain or show you how this all works together in just a moment. But for now, just trust me that this is how it goes. So for row 22, we're going to chain 2, turn again. And this time we're going to double crochet cluster into that first stitch. So in the past, we've just been doing 1 double crochet into that first stitch. And this time we're going to do 3 double crochets or a double crochet cluster into that first stitch. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, and 3 double crochets. You can see that's how it should look. 3 double crochets into that first stitch. Now we are going to go ahead and we are going to double crochet cluster into the next 3 spaces. So we're not going to go into this space right here. Instead, we're going to go into the space between the 2 clusters. Or if you want to count 1, 2, 3 between the 3rd and 4th double crochet, we're going to make a cluster. 1, 2, 3 double crochets. And then you're going to do 2 more clusters. So a total of 3 clusters between the first and last cluster. Hopefully that makes sense. Basically, we're going to do a total of 5 clusters for row 22. So you can see we did our first one into that top of the stitch, then we did the next 3 into the spaces, and now you're going to do the last cluster into the last stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, and into that 4th stitch, and we're going to be working into the top of the 4th stitch, if you remember, and we're going to make 3 double crochets. And why we're working into the top of the last stitch instead of right here is because if we worked into the space that's right here, it would kind of leave a wonky edge, and we want as straight of an edge as we can get. So that's why we're not working into the space. Instead, we're working into the last stitch. So you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 clusters at the end of this round. And I just noticed that I have 1 too many stitches right here. So I'm just going to fix that real quick. So now that we have the row 22 done, we have the 5 clusters, as you can see. What we're going to do is we are going to, for row 23, we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're going to double crochet cluster into the first stitch. Now you're going to be working into the first stitch because we want to, again, not have it be wonky. We want to have it as nice of and straight of an edge as possible. So we're going to work in double crochet cluster into that first stitch, which again just means 3 double crochets into that first stitch. 1, 2, and 3. So you can see that's how it should be looking. And now we're going to double crochet cluster into the next 4 spaces. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to be working this time for like the first time, almost the first time ever. We'll be going into to the space between the 2nd and 3rd double crochet instead of the 3rd and 4th. So you can see right here, we finished our cluster. There's 2 stitches, and then there's a space right here. And we're going to be working into that space. Hopefully this is making sense. I think it should be. So you can see there's the cluster into that first stitch, then we just did another cluster into that space, and we're going to work into each of these spaces across for a total of 4 clusters between the increases. So double crochet into the next 4, double crochet cluster into the next 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3. And I'm just going to finish this last cluster right here on camera. So as you can see, we have the 1 in the corner, and then we did our 4 clusters. And now we have 3 stitches left. You're going to double crochet cluster into the last stitch. So you should now have 6 clusters at the end of row 23. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to chain 2, turn our work again. And for row 24, we are going to do the same thing. So double crochet cluster into the first stitch, and then we're going to double crochet cluster into the next 5 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we're going to double crochet cluster into that last stitch. So just repeat basically what we've been doing. So you should end up with a total of 7 clusters at the end of row 24. And I'm going to go ahead and do row 24 by myself, and I'll meet you right back. Alright, so you can see that I have finished row 24, and you should have 7 clusters. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we are going to once again, chain 2, turn our work, and we are going to double crochet cluster into the first stitch. We're basically doing the same thing we've been doing. So double crochet cluster into that first stitch, and then double crochet cluster into the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 spaces, and then you're going to double crochet cluster into that last stitch. So I'm going to go ahead, finish row 25 off camera, and then I'll meet you right back, and you'll end up with 8 clusters at the end of this round. Alright, so I just finished row 25, so you should have 8 clusters, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now what we're going to do is we are going to chain 2, and this will be the last increase round. So, or technically it's a row, sorry. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet cluster into that first stitch right there, like we've been doing. Then you're going to double crochet cluster into the next 7 spaces, and then you're going to double crochet cluster into the last stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. I'll meet you right back, and we will continue on and finish up this heel. So you can see that. Alright, so I just finished row 26, and you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 clusters. So we have officially finished all the rows that we're going to do for this heel, and so now we're going to begin closing the heel. So let me show you what we're going to first do. So just pull up a loop on your hook, and now I'm going to flip over and kind of show you kind of the idea, and then we'll work on it. So you can see that this is how the stocking is laying. Now technically when it's all done, it'll be laying like this, and it will have the heel. So what we're going to do, but I'm going to lay it like this just for ease, and what we're going to do is we are going to fold this increase panel down, and it's going to go against where we did the decreases. So this panel, you can see here is the front. It's going to go backward like that. Hopefully that makes sense. So you can see it's like this laying back. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach our hook into this loop again. And I'm going to just flip it like we were before. So you can see this is how it looks. And we're now on the other side. So you can see this is the original side where I was saying we were flipping back. Now on this side, we're going to be flipping towards ourselves because we're on the other side. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and chain 1. We're going to have this laying towards us this time, and we're going to turn our work. So you can see we have this. This is the stocking part, so far the toe kind of part, and then this is the heel. And we have the decreases here, and then this is the increases. So we have a chain after our increases, and what we're going to begin doing is we're going to begin working through both sides of this. So we're going to work through the decrease side and then the increase side. So first we're going to work through the decrease side, and you're just going to grab a little stitch on the side of that first row of decreases, and then you're going to grab a little stitch on this other side like that, and you're going to make a single crochet. And you're just going to make single crochets up. Now I have about 6, I find I do about 6 single crochets while I'm working up. So you can see I'm going to work into the next right here, and then I'm going to find that on this side, and you're just going to work this out. Now, little tip, when you're doing this, you want to work through, you don't want to work through like a massive area like this. Instead, you want to find like a little loop on the front side and then a little loop on the back panel. And the reason for that is that it will lay much flatter when you have it done. So you want to just grab the little loops as you're working up. So I'm just finishing this, and if you end up with 7 single crochets or if you end up with 8 single crochets, that's okay. The goal is just to make it even. So you can see I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now what we're going to do, so we have our 6 stitches, like you can see. There's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can see there's the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now the last stitch should kind of be right at the edge of this. So now what we're going to do, so you can see we have it still like this, and now this is just laying backward like this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut our yarn, and we are going to start on the other side and work down, and then we're going to start working on the rest of the stockings. So you're just going to tie off, and that is how it should look. Now, a little kind of sneak peek of what we're going to do in the end. In the end, what we're going to do is we're going to flip it out like this, and then we're going to have it laying like this, and that's how it should look. But for now, we're going to keep it like this, and we're going to work on this side. So you're going to, you can see we have it folded, and you're going to go to this side and find a stitch, side of a stitch to work into. I'm going to go right here, and then I'm going to work into right here. I like to, again, like I said, work into about 1 loop, just so that it doesn't become too thick and quite as noticeable that we crocheted up the side. So I'm just going to put my yarn over my hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull through those 2 sides. I'm going to chain 1. And now I'm going to make a single crochet into that same place that we just worked into, or just made the chain out of. Now you're going to do 5 more single crochets working down, so a total of 6. And again, that's roughly. If you end up with a little bit more, that's okay, and if you end up with a little less, that's okay too. So you can see there's the first one. I'm going to find the next spot to work into. There we go. And I'm going to find the next spot on this side, right there. And then I'm going to find the next spot here. And then I'm going to find the next spot on this side. And you can kind of get the idea. You're just working down this side, and we're just crocheting it up. The goal is to not have massive holes, and that's why we're crocheting it. But you don't have to worry too much about having some holes. So we can see we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to do right here is my 5th one. And then for the 6th, what I like to do is I like to work into the side, oops, sorry, right there, work into the side of this last cluster. So I'm just going to find 1 loop to go through, like right there. And then you're going to find, I like to find the top 2 stitches of the cluster. So there's 1, 2, or sorry, yeah, the top 2 loops to go into. So there's the 1, 2, and then the 3rd cluster. So I like to go into that first stitch of the cluster. So hopefully that makes sense. You can see right there, there's that first double crochet. So I'm put my hook into there. Now I'm going to make a single crochet again. And so now we have completed both sides, and you can see this is how it should look. What we're going to do now is we are going to begin working onto the finishing part of the body of the stocking. So we're going to chain 2, and we're going to turn our work. Now, when we turn our work, what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up. So we've been working on it, and now we're going to bring it up for like the final reveal. And so we have our chain 2 right here on our hook. And you can see this is how it should look. So it's like this, and then when you put the 2 together, you have this beautiful, nice heel. So there you go. So we have the main body of the stocking, then the heel part, and now we're going to begin working up for the rest of the stocking. Just like on this one, we did the heel, like this, we did the heel, and now we begin working up into the top of the stocking. So we did our chain 2, and now what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet cluster into the next 8 spaces across the top of the heel. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you can see, remember how we worked into that first double crochet? You can see those, there are the 3 double crochets, and what we're going to do is we're going to work between the first and second cluster into that space. So we have our chain, and we're going to go into this cluster, or into this space right here, between the 2 clusters. So we're going to make a cluster, a double crochet cluster into there, so 3 double crochets into there, and then we're going to just do that for the rest of the total of 8 spaces across. So just double crochet 3 into each of the spaces, and I'll show you what it should look like in just a second. You can see that is how it should look. So we did our chain 2, this was our cluster number 1, 2, 3, and I'm just going to continue working. So I have my 8 clusters. This is the 4th cluster, the 5th cluster, the 6th cluster, the 7th, and the 8th. Like this. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clusters. So there's all of them. And so basically we just worked across the top of the heel. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of work into this middle area right here. And how we're going to do that is we are going to double crochet 3 together where the heel and the stocking meet. So it's not a cluster and it's not a double crochet cluster decrease. It's just a normal double crochet 3 together. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3 stitches right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the 3rd stitch. We're going to yarn over, insert into that 3rd stitch right there. Yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2. We're going to go ahead and insert right here into right here into the area right here. So let me show you as carefully as I can. So we did our first into there, into that 3rd stitch. Now I'm going to go right into here, right at the kind of the between the where we joined the 2 heels, or the 2 parts right there. I'm going to make another, so you just yarn over, insert, yarn, pull through, yarn, pull through 2, and then we're going to do 1 more. So yarn over, insert, and I'm going to insert into that space right there where you can see we worked a cluster out of. So I'm going to yarn over, insert into that space, yarn, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you should have 4 loops on your hook, and you'll kind of have to make up, like I just did, kind of places to work. So hopefully that makes sense, and you're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on your hook. So you can see this is how it should be looking. And you can see there was our decrease right there. It kind of just blends in beautifully, and that's the goal. And so what we're going to begin doing is we're going to work a double crochet cluster into the next 5 spaces. So here's the first space right there. We're going to work into. That's 1 cluster. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the next 5 spaces off camera, and then I will meet you right back and we'll continue. Alright, so you can see that I did my 5 clusters, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now what we have left is we basically have 1 space, 1 kind of space where the heel is, and then we have where we began this round. So what we're going to do is we are going to, so you can see there's 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and into the top of the 4th double crochet we're going to basically make a double crochet 3 together again. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3 double crochets over and into the top of the 4th double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and then there's the 4th. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the top of that 4th double crochet right here. We're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we are going to go into the top right here of the, so you're going to count, we just worked into this stitch, we're going to count 1, and into the second, so you're going to skip 1 stitch, and you're going to go into the second double crochet right there. We're going to make another decrease, and then we're going to yarn over and we're going to insert into just kind of this area right here where we had been joining the 2 stockings, so, or sorry, the 2 parts of the heel. So you're going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So now you should have the 3 parts that you've worked into, and you should have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through all 4 loops on your hook. And now you should have 15 clusters. So I hope that whole round 27 made sense. It's a little bit of a confusing round, but basically we did 8 clusters across the top of the heel. We did a decrease right here, kind of between the heel and the stocking. We did 5 clusters, and then we did another decrease right here where the stocking and heel meet again. So now we are going to put our loop back onto the hook, and we're going to make a slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet right there. So now you should have what we're going to consider 15 clusters, and so if you count around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, this decrease right here counts as a cluster. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then right here is the other decrease, and so that also counts 15. So now for rounds 28 through 53, you're going to chain 2, you're going to double crochet cluster in each space around, and you're going to slip stitch to join. So that is a total of 26 rounds that you're just going to double crochet cluster in each space around, and you'll have 15 clusters. So what you can see, here, let me take that out so I can show you, is that we have a space right here, and so we're going to work right into between the chain and the double crochet. So between the chain and double crochet, we're going to make a cluster. 1, 2, 3 double crochets, and this is for round 28 right now. So a cluster there. We're going to find the next space, make a cluster into there, and we're just going to continue making clusters around, and you should end up with 15 clusters. So I'm going to meet you at the end of round 28, and then I'll let you, and then we'll meet back, and then I'll remind you what the instructions are for the remaining rounds. Alright, so I'm working currently on round 28, and I just wanted to show you kind of what I do when I reach this decrease. All you're going to do is you're just going to work between the cluster and the decrease like you normally would, pretending like this is a cluster. So you're just going to work your 3 double crochets between the cluster and the decrease, and then you're going to go to between the decrease and the cluster, you're going to work 3 double crochets into. So I am going to do this, continue working around, and I will meet you back once I finish round 28. Alright, so as you can see, I just worked between the cluster and the decrease, and I made a cluster. And now remember, because we worked between the chain and the double crochet, between the chain and the first double crochet, we're not going to work between right here because that's not really a space, and we've done our 15 clusters. So now we're going to slip stitch to join and chain 2, and then for rounds now at this point 29 through 53, so that'll be the next 25 rounds, you're just going to chain 2, double crochet cluster in each space around, and then you're going to slip stitch to join. So you'll end up with 15 clusters at the end of each round. So I'm going to go ahead and do those next 25 rounds, and then I'll meet you back and we'll continue on to the cuff. Alright, so as you can see, I have officially finished all of the total of 26 rounds that we did. So I just completed round 53. Now what we're going to do is we're going to begin the cuffs. So you can see that I haven't slip stitched yet. So what you're going to do is you're going to insert your hook into the top of that first double crochet, and instead of completing your slip stitch, you're going to cut your yarn, And you're going to grab your faux fur yarn. So this is my lime green Gopher Faux in the color Chinchilla. I'm probably saying that wrong, but you know. So here we go. I'm going to grab the ball of yarn. And here I just found the tail, so I'm going to set this all aside. And I'm going to begin working the cuff. So what we're going to do, we insert our hook into the top of that double crochet. Now you're going to grab your faux fur yarn, and you're going to yarn over and pull through and pull through. So we basically just did a slip stitch, but we used the faux fur yarn because we're now going to start working with the faux fur yarn. So now we're going to, for rounds 54 through 59, so for the next 6 rounds, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to double crochet cluster in each space, and then we're going to slip stitch to join. So we're basically doing the exact same thing we've been doing all along, but we're just going to be using faux fur yarn. So I'm going to start, because this is an even round, I'm going to now go between the chain and the double crochet, because after the heel we switch to the even rounds being where we work between the chain and the double crochet, and the odd rounds being where we go into the first space. So we have the first cluster, and you're just going to do 3 double crochets into each of the spaces. And it won't be the easiest to work with the faux fur, but because we're working into the spaces, you don't have to worry too much if it should be a little bit easier to find the spaces than to try to work into the top of the stitches. So you're just going to be working into the spaces for this round and then the next 5 rounds. So a total of 6 rounds. And you'll have 15 clusters at the end of each of the rounds. So I'm going to go ahead and do rounds 54, which is what I'm on, through 59, and I'll meet you right back. Okay, so you can see that I just finished round 54, and I just wanted to meet you back because faux fur sometimes is a little bit tricky. So you're going to just feel for the top of that first double crochet, and if you are struggling with that, I would recommend grabbing a stitch marker and putting that into the first double crochet you make of each round. So we're just making a slip stitch, then we're going to chain 2, and we're just going to begin working into, so this is round 55, so we're going to work into the space, not between the chain and double crochet. So right here is where my finger is, and we're going to work into there, do our 3 double crochets. And so you're just going to keep doing this. It will be a little bit tricky to work just because it's faux fur and it's a little bit always more of a challenge, but just feel it as best you can, and it's really nice that you're working into the spaces, so you can just if you make a little mistake, it's not a big deal and it won't be very obvious. So I'm going to go ahead, keep working this round and then the next few rounds, and I'll meet you back once I finish round 59. Alright, so you can see that I've completed, well, you can't really see, but I have completed my 6 rounds. So I just completed round 59, and you should still have 15 clusters. I'm just going to go ahead and find my first double crochet to make a slip stitch into, and we have officially finished the stocking. So you can go ahead, cut your yarn, and then tie off. And to tie off, all you do is you simply just yarn over, pull through, basically like making a chain, and then pull up. And there we go. So now what we're going to do is take this cuff that we just made, and we're going to flip it down onto your stocking, and it looks absolutely adorable. So there is our stocking. And now what we're going to do is, I personally like to add a little like hanger and bow. So like right here, you can see on this stocking. And so this is totally optional, but I'll show you how to do that and how to do this little hanger. So hanger and then the little bow. So to do the hanger, what we're going to do is we are going to grab our red yarn again, or whatever is your main color. So I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to grab my red yarn and my 5mm hook like we've been using the whole time. And I'm going to chain 33. So you're going to make a slip knot. To make a slip knot, you yarn over, or wrap your yarn around your finger twice. Grab the back loop, bring it to the front, then grab the new back loop and bring it up and over. then you're just going to tighten. And now we are going to chain 33. So just yarn over and pull through to make a chain, and I'm going to go ahead and make the 33 chains, and then I'll meet you right back and we'll finish up the hanger. Alright, so I just made my 33 chains. Now what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet in the third chain from hook, and then we are going to keep going. So the loop on your hook does not count as a chain. You're going to skip that first and second chain, and then to that third chain right here where my thumb is at, you're going to yarn over and insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, which is a double crochet. And now what we're going to do is we are going to skip 2 chains, and into the third chain we're going to make a double crochet cluster. So skip 1, 2 chains, and then into, so we worked into this chain right there, and you're going to skip 1, 2, and then we're going to work into the third chain, and we're going to make a double crochet cluster. So that's 3 double crochets into 1 chain. And then, so 3 double crochets into 1 chain like I'm doing. And then what we're going to do, so we have those 3 double crochets, is we are going to skip 3 chains, and into the 4th chain we're going to make another double crochet cluster. So you can see we worked into here. We're going to skip that 1, 2, 3 chains, and then into the 4th chain we're going to make a double crochet cluster. And now you're going to repeat this across. So you're going to into the 4th chain make a double crochet cluster across, and then when you have 3 chains left, I'll meet you back. So we're going to skip 3 chains, and into the 4th chain we're going to make another double crochet cluster, and you're just going to repeat that across. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this, and then I'll meet you right back and we will continue on together. Alright, so I did the repeat for this hanger, and you can see this is how it should look, and we have 3 chains left. So what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet into the last chain. So there's 1, 2, and into that third chain we're going to make a double crochet, and then you can go ahead, cut your yarn, leaving yourself a nice long tail to be able to sew this onto your stocking. So I'm going to go yarn over it, pull through, and then pull up to tie off. And now we have our hanger done. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your darning needle, and what I like to do is I like to grab the small little loop or small little tail that we have, and I just like to put it on my thumb, and then now that that's on my needle, I like to take it, and you're going to make a loop out of your hanger. So it's flat. You're going to bring it together at the base, and you're just going to go through both layers with this piece of yarn. So I'm going to go through there, and I'm going to go back and back one more time, and then one more time, like that. So now it is officially tied together. Then what I like to do is I like to grab my long tail, and then I like to grab my stocking, which is right here. I'm going to grab my stocking and make sure that it is laying properly. So make sure it's lined up. The decrease on this side and the decrease on the other side is right together. So if you put your darning needle through, it's not totally off. So now we're going to go ahead and go up here, and we're going to go ahead and put this onto the side. So you're going to grab the side, kind of pinch your finger right there, place it on, and you're just going to go ahead and whip stitch around the edge. And you want to make sure you don't go through the cuff layer, so just go through the red layer here and then through this hanger. So I'm going to go ahead and just start, so we have it laying like right there. I'm going to grab a little stitch on the stocking, grab a little stitch on the hanger, and just repeat that. Grab a little stitch on the stocking, then on the hanger, and you're just going to go around the whole edge, repeating that so it's nice and secure. And then once you finish that, you can just tie these 2 tails in, and that is the hanger. So now we're going to go ahead and complete the bow. And what we're going to do for that is we are going to grab the yarn, again the red yarn, and your hook, and we're going to go ahead and make a chain of 73. So I'm going to go ahead and make a slip knot again, And I like to leave my tail a little bit long so that we can sew on the like the little bobble at the end, or the little pom-pom, whatever you want to call it. So leave your tail a little long and then make a slip knot. And now you're going to chain 73. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go ahead and chain the 73, and then I'll meet you right back. Alright, so I just finished my 73 chains, and now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and double crochet into the 3rd chain from hook. So the loop on your hook does not count as a chain. You're going to skip the 1st, 2nd, and go and insert yarn over and insert your hook into the 3rd. We're going to make a double crochet into the 3rd chain from hook. Now we're going to skip 2 chains, and into the 3rd chain we're going to make a double crochet cluster. So that's 3 double crochets. And then we are going to skip 3 chains, and into the 4th chain we are going to make a double crochet cluster. And we're going to repeat that across all these chains. So you're going to skip 3 chains, and into the 4th chain you're going to make a double crochet cluster all the way across these chains, and then you'll end with 3 chains left, and then you'll double crochet into the last chain. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat for all my double crochet clusters, then I'll meet you back and we'll do the double crochet together. Alright, so I just finished all of the clusters, as you can see. Now what we're going to do, so you should have 3 chains left, you're just going to double crochet into that last chain, and you have officially finished this bow kind of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut our yarn, again leaving it a decently, you don't need to leave super long tail because it's just the side again. So I'm going to go ahead and yarn over and pull. I'm going to go over and yarn over and pull through. And there we go. So now you can see this is how it should look. We are going to put it onto the stocking on round 46. So if you remember right here where we did the decrease was round 27. So now you're just going to count up. So 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. So here's round 46 right here. This is the round. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my hook around the center cluster, and if it's not quite on the center, that's okay. We're going to grab the like bow kind of thing, long piece that we just made, and you're just going to go ahead and put it on your hook, pull through. There we go. So basically we just put this behind one cluster. Now you're going to just make a bow like you normally would. So I'm just going to make the bow real quick on camera with you all. I'm just going to put like this, and there we go. Then you can adjust it to be as long or as short as you like, and as tight or as loose as you like. So yeah, there is our little bow, and I'll do a little more fixing up on it, but that is about it. Now we're going to make little bobbles to attach onto here. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab your 5mm crochet hook and your faux fur yarn this time, and you're just going to make a magic circle. You're going to go under the first loop, grab the second loop, pinch, and then I like to chain 1, and you're going to single crochet in 5 into this magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we are going to begin working in the round, so you do not need to do a slip stitch. I like to take this strand that I just closed my magic circle with and bring it into my bobble, so inside to the inside. Now I'm going to begin, so you should have 5 stitches at the end of round 1. For round 2, you're going to single crochet increase into each stitch around, so you'll end up with 10 single crochets. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. It's a little bit tricky working into this faux fur yarn. Just feel as best you can, and you'll kind of feel like there's like a hole there, and then that's where you work. And if you don't have exactly the right number, that is okay. It's faux fur, so it's very forgiving. So I am almost done with here. I'm going to finish this one up. And now that you have the 10 stitches, you're going to begin round 3. So for round 3, you're just going to single crochet in each stitch around. And I'm just doing that real quick. And you'll have 10 stitches obviously because that's how it was. And I recommend having a stitch marker for your first stitch, just so that you can kind of mark it. But if you don't have a stitch marker on hand, you can just eyeball it like I am. I can feel like that was the first stitch right here. So now for round 4, you're going to single crochet 2 together in each stitch around. So you're going to just, that basically means you're going to insert into the first stitch, yarn pull through, insert into the next stitch, yarn pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So insert, yarn into the first stitch, whoop, I lost my, there you go, insert into the first stitch, yarn pull through, insert into the next stitch, yarn pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And you're just going to do a total of 5 decreases because so you'll end up with 5 stitches left. And there is 4, and here is 5. And then you're going to have this done. So now that you're done, you're going to go ahead and cut your yarn, and you're going to make one more bobble just like this. So go ahead and back up the video, make one more just like this, and then meet me back and we will sew them onto the bow. Alright, so I just finished the second bobble, so you can see there, here are the 2. What we're going to do is we're just going to tie in these 2 tails real quick. And then you're going to simply, you can add a little stuffing to the inside of these bobbles if you want, but you don't have to. I'm going to just leave these probably unstuffed. You can just tie in these 2 tails right here. And I'm just going to make a little knot to tie in my tails. There we go. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab the long strand of yarn that you have on this side, and then for this side you just cut a piece of red yarn. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put the yarn on our needle. You're going to, I'll cut this tails right here real quick, there we go. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go through just any little stitch that you want to go through on here on the bobble, and then you're going to grab the other tail and go through another little stitch on this little bobble, like so. And then once I've gone like that, I like to just make a knot. If you watch my videos, you know that I like to do that. It feels really nice and secure to me whenever I do a knot, and so I just knot it off, and there we go. So that's attached. And then I'm just going to take these 2 tails and bring them through my little bobbles just to hide the tails, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that through like this. It's getting a little stuck, so I'm just going to work between them. There we go. There we go. You're going to just go ahead and cut your yarn, and there you go. So you're just going to repeat that for this other side, and then you're officially done with your stocking. Thank you so much for making this beautiful crochet Christmas stocking along with me. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please make sure to give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. When you subscribe, it really helps my channel be found by more crocheters just like you, and so I appreciate your support. Also, don't forget to comment down below. Tell me what colors you made this stocking and who you all made the stocking for. I would love to hear from you, and so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!